As you can see, I no longer can get near my hummingbird feeders because this tote lid has created a moat. Why, hello everybody, it is Robbie, and today Kitty and I are going to do a spin around the deck to show you what is going on in a fall and actually winter garden, because we'll be going into winter, well, in the next few weeks actually. Let me start off by saying everything you see here on the wall, this whole wall here, everything on the bottom, and everything there is all done. I am done. I'm not doing anything else this year except for watering, which is going to give me a lot of food. I didn't plant broccoli. We'll get into that another time. It's Kitty's favorite. All winter long, I'm going to have a lot of Swiss chard. The Papalo is going to die out, but I'm going to have oregano. The tomatoes were all yellow. You saw in the last video, I took all the yellow leaves off. And look at that. We're getting new growth already, so that is a keeper. Everything here has been, I'm going to say refurbished, not replanted, but refurbished. Let's see, what did I do since you saw it a few weeks ago? Well, the tomatoes got trimmed, and oh, back here is a dazzling blue kale. Now I'll show you what I did. I had that growing in a food container. Now here I have a dazzling blue kale. I started in a container, a food container. I'm going to take this, we're going to pull this up, set up some roots underneath, but that's okay. And we're going to move it right now into a pot I've got on the deck with nothing in it. So let me show you how I get this set up and how I can refurbish old soil because something was growing in that pot. So we had something in here that isn't growing here anymore. What we're going to do is tip this out. I'm going to just tip this out right now. Now I've got all this dry stuff from what I collected on the deck. You can just stuff it in there, whatever I've got, just on the bottom. I'm going to put a whole lot. So I'm putting dry matter on the bottom. It's got drainage holes all the way around, and it's going to drain really good through this. Now we're going to put the old soil back, and we'll have a whole lot of good stuff in it. Plus there'll be microbes and different things in there, and they'll have more to eat. And you know what? Let's clean this up while we're going to move this, because we're going to take this out of this container. Take off any leaves. It doesn't seem like it needs. Actually, this is really nice. I'll take out a few. Okay, so there's brown matter and a little bit of green matter in there. If you're cleaning up any of your plants, say you got a garlic chive to clean up, you can put some green in there from that. Doesn't really matter. Now, you just pull it out. These are really forgiving. Kind of clean that up. Just kind of dust this around so the roots will be able to just go, wow, look at that. I had all kinds of stuff in that pot too. That's eggshell. Isn't that funny? Oh yeah, because I was composting and placing this, and then I stuck a twig in here from dazzling blue kale so it grew. Okay, so we're going to figure out where we want to plant this. Now I might add in, just because, some fresh potting soil. It doesn't even have to be a lot, because we're making our own soil. At least I am, and I'm hoping you are too. So we're adding in some fresh, and now we've got fresh. And now we're going to add this in. This will get fairly big, so later on in the year we can move it. I'm going to add in a little bit more new soil. Totally up to you if you want to do this or not. Okay, so we've got new soil in here. Look how beautiful. Now we'll add in some of the old soil, which is nice and damp already. I'm not even sure what this is. Oh, this is just native soil, which is good. I had added that in. And pat that around. It'll help get the potting soil to pick up water, because this is already damp. Potting soil is a little dry. If your potting soil in the bag is really dry, add a cup or two of water in there and leave it overnight, and it will absorb. That, an old branch breaking apart. I think I will add that in. Push that in. And that's it. Now we're good to go. All this needs is some water. I don't see any insects on here. If I did, I would wash it off just with a hose. Take off any leaves it doesn't need. Don't let that get in there. That is mint. and mint will take over. Now, I'll tell you what we can do, only because I'm here. I'm going to grab some stevia flowers. My stevia is flowering really, really good. I don't collect the seeds from the stevia because I do cuttings off my stevia. Well, actually, I let it do its own thing. I have so much stevia. But you can do cuttings. And what I'm going to do is just on the top, going to chop up, look at this. This is just some stevia flowers that are drying up. Now put that on the top for mulch. You can put as little or as much as you want. And the added benefit for that if any of these are viable and they grow, and you end up with stevia later on in the spring, taste it, and if it tastes good, pull them out and transplant them out. In the meantime, you're using this as a mulch. A little bit of a ground cover. And you could put wood chips on top if you've got. You can use leaf matter if you've got. It doesn't matter what you want to put on top. As long as you're keeping it well watered, you don't have to put anything on top if you don't want to. That's it. Now I've got this plant that will grow in here until it gets too big, and then we'll find another place for it. It's just a cutting off my dazzling blue kale. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's how you reuse old soil. Don't throw old soil away. If you have to and you have no place to put it, grab some leaves and brown and throw it in there and let it just sit and keep it watered. Always treat your old soil as if it is alive. And you will be able to use this over and over by just adding in some leaves from the garden. Save money. You know, use your own garden leaves and matter. Throw it in there, it will break down. Because after all, what do you think potting soil is? Read the ingredients. Probably not much different than what you have in your own yard. It can grow into a big plant, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to have greens all winter long into spring, and who knows, I may not even touch this in the spring. The purple tree collard is doing really, really well. So everything here is doing well. I redid some of the pots by removing some of the soil if it didn't drop down. And I actually, and I'll show you the footage I did it the other day. I removed a lot of these, well, they're flowers and they're fuzzy, and this is where the seeds are. I don't grow stevia from seed, so I removed a lot of that and I use that as a mulch. Put on the top instead of wood chips or grass clippings, or some people put nothing. I used it as a mulch, which it will break down and feed the soil, and it's going to feed the soil, but it's going to feed the plants, which is a bonus if any of them grow. So if I end up in the spring with new stevia growing and the stevia tastes good, then I keep it. If it doesn't, it gets composted back into the soil and becomes compost again. I take it out. The other tip too is, don't forget, I've told you, you can get these spoons from Walmart, $1 a piece, a 4-pack for $1. Spoons are the greatest thing when you're taking seedlings out or working in a small container. So everything here is done. I've got celery, tomatoes. Look how beautiful that tomato is. That is coming from the bottom. The tomato plant pretty much died out, except it's coming back a little bit on this skimpy little branch here, and it's coming back on the top. Oh, on here, I put a tomato stake, and I bought a whole bunch of tomato stakes on eBay, really cheap. I can put the link. I got them on eBay, and they were like 60 cents a piece. They were 3 foot, and it worked out really good. Here, what you want to do is, this has ridges. So what you do is, this is just yarn like you would buy at any craft store. I tie it first onto the stake because this has ridges and it's tight. Then you come back and you tie your tomato plant. Now the tomato plant isn't choking. Look at all the room it's got to move. And it works perfect that way. So this way you can stake it up and tie it where you want it. But tie the string on first. That's just a hint. This way you're not choking the plant out. Everything else doing really, really well. I think we're pretty much done over here to show you what's going on. I've got celery there now. This is some red vein sorrel that I had planted from seed. Still trying to figure out where to put it, but for now, it's sitting in that container. They all grew really nice. It'll just sit there until I decide what I want to do with it. And I love my food containers. And you know what? I started to paint them. When you paint them, they'll last longer because the UV from the sun won't break it down as quick. Plus, I think it looks nicer. So I went through and painted it. I get my paint from Home Depot and Lowe's, and a lot of times they have tester paint that people returned. They have some sort of deal, they can buy it. And if they don't like the color, they can return it, get their money back. Then they throw them on the floor for 50 cents to $1, and I've got a ton of them. Well, I think they look really neat when they're painted. Like I said, double duty, it's also going to last a little longer. This basil's doing really good. It's flowering, and yes, I should take all the flowers off, but here's the problem. The bees keep coming in, and they don't have a whole lot of food. So if I take all the flowers off, they have nothing to eat. So I've kind of been leaving them, and whatever happens, happens. If I see the plant starts to die back, I'll grab a bunch of leaves and I'll freeze them and have them so when I make pizza, I've got the basil. But I've got basil growing in my regular garden as well. See how nice it looks? I hit that table with some paint, painted it up, it was white, and then I painted the food containers, and they're growing lettuce and walking onions, and I think it looks neater. And what it cost me, I have a container I bought for 50 cents. I've only used that much paint, so I can grow a whole ton of them right now in containers and paint probably 50 containers the way I'm using it. Look at the peppers. I've been picking peppers too. Beautiful. Look at this. Hopefully it will last into the winter, but it will depend on how our weather is. And this is dill. It's going to seed. There's a little bit of dill there. It's really the end of the season for dill. And parsley, I had some parsley that went to seed. So I collected some parsley and I put it in the envelope. You know how I collect it and save it that way. But now I'm going to chop this up. And just in case there's seed left on it, I'm going to put it on top of a container. So this way, maybe some of the parsley will come up now or in the spring. And yes, Kitty agrees with me, right? Here too, I did everything here. I am completely done, except for the carrots. But you know what? I've been slowly picking carrots as I need them. I grew that a while ago, so they've been staying dormant, which is perfect. So I pick them as they need them. But everything is done here, and everything's in layers. And when I layer, like here's a pot, this is going to keep this wet underneath. When you lift the pot up, it's always damp. So I like layering. So I got a pot here, and I got all kinds of baby walking onion coming up in there. This is pomegranate coming up. I really don't need any more pomegranate trees, but I'll see what happens in the spring. Maybe I will end up planting more around different areas. That celery that came up, and then of course I've got parsley. Parsley everywhere, and this is not walking onions. This is onion chives. Now onion chives will not grow baby onions like walking onions do, and they're very slim. See how beautiful and slim they are? Perfect for baked potatoes or salads or whatever you want. This grows a beautiful purple magenta flower, and you collect the seeds from it. So I'm gonna just cater to this for a while, because this is really the only onion chives that I've got on the property. I do have seeds. I have collected the seeds. So this can just keep on growing, and it will be perfect. Food containers are perfect for all kinds of things, and there is a lettuce in there growing. And then, of course, more food containers. And I really do like them painted. Celery, parsley, a tomato coming up in the back. So this is all completely done. I think it looks really, really cool. That's the oregano down here. That was a little tiny cutting. In a matter of months, it's turned into a great big plant. So I think they're doing great. That's an orange mint. I use that if I'm making eggs or maybe even a green drink. I might add in some leaves from orange mint. But when I make tea, I prefer chocolate and peppermint tea. Now, here's I'm painting a lot of my containers. I think they look better painted. This, let's stop over here for a minute. I know you're not interested in hummingbirds if you're not feeding them. I had an ant issue. And I had this, if you look at the last video, turned around. Well, I turned it upside down, and now look what I have. I've got a moat that goes all the way around. Look at that ant. They can't figure out what happened. We can't get to the feeders anymore. Nope, because I have an old-fashioned moat that literally goes all the way around, and they cannot reach the feeders. Isn't that cool? So now, that's the way that's going to be set up. Everything here, I really haven't done too much yet. You saw me do this. This is the tricolored sage. Already moved that. I moved the celery up because they were growing together. Now, what did happen is by refurbishing this container and putting in the tricolored sage in here and taking care of it, and yes, I've got lettuce and other things coming up, the tomatoes went wild. they just got refed because the tomato plant, as Kitty is watching us, is growing in here. And even though I haven't gotten to the bottom tote yet, the storage container, it's being fed now through here. So this is why it's just taken off. It has been loaded with tomatoes. Look at all the beautiful green growth. Look up there. Look at all the tomatoes up here. Let's walk over here for a minute. It's all because it's being fed from the container that was redone with leaves and everything. So that's why this is doing so good. See, you don't have to pull everything out of your container. You could layer on top with another container, be it a square, dishpan type container or a flower pot. And then you take care of this, water this, and whatever you put in your new container will feed the tote. Same mint. This is doing really good. This is more basil. This is pretty much done. We ate the Korean melon. We picked it. It looks like it's trying to make a comeback. But I'm going to go in here and clean that out and get something else going. And I might just layer in pots. And then let's turn around here. Yeah, I haven't done anything with the pomegranate seeds, but look at all the pomegranates coming up. These are all pomegranate trees. And if you say, wait a minute, you can't grow that many trees in one spot. Come spring in a few months, I can separate those like nothing. You literally pull them out and they separate. And boy, they are so strong, nothing seems to bother them. They just keep on going. Just pull them out, stick them in their own pots, and you've got pomegranate trees everywhere. And that's why we have so many. The Papalo is going to die back. It's already going to seed. It already flowered, and now it's starting to go to seed. And it's going to have seed pods all over it, and I'll be collecting the seeds later. So we'll see what happens, how many I'm going to collect. This is, of course, the garlic chives in the back, and these are all the seeds. We have a lot of garlic chives everywhere. Celery. We've got green sorrel down here, more different types of greens growing, Swiss chard, and more sorrel, Malabar spinach. This is a cutting I took from the garden, and it's just a collard, a kale. It's actually a tree collard, I think. So we'll see if it makes it. Chocolate mint, and then a moringa tree. Look at this moringa tree. If you look back 3 weeks ago, it was short. Now it's gone past the deck, and it's going to keep going in a small pot. That's an extra bonus treat. Here I'm cleaning up my onions by putting all the dried leaves down here. I'm going to top it with some potting soil or maybe some soil from another container, but I am leaving that. So that's going to be left. The eggplant's going to be left. So pretty much everything's going to be left except I may do some layering. This you saw already did. This is beautiful. Just come out here, pull bottom leaves if you want to, make something with some greens in it, be it a soup, a stir fry. You want to make some soup. You want to make canned soup? Shortcut? Use canned soup and then add in some fresh greens if you've got it. Then you're adding in some really good nutrients as the soup has already been warmed. Add it in towards the end and you will get all the vitamins and nutrients from fresh food from your garden. Here's a dinosaur kale. Here's some sort of other type of brassica. Not even sure. A lot of them are hybrids. And it is the best thing. And of course, look at this. I still have dill growing. I don't know if it'll make it, but this is all Swiss chard, red and green. The tomatillos are dying back. If I leave all these in here, I will have hundreds of tomatillo plants later. And I probably will leave them. And then that's some mint in here. Walking onions. I never did move that. Lettuce. It looks small right now. Look at the sides. We have been pulling lettuce off. I can make a big salad. These leaves get gigantic in a bucket. And basically what it likes is the protection, so you don't have to bring it to the top. And it's growing inside the bucket. This is a celery that should not be there. It's actually 2 celeries in there. And parsley coming up. The thing is, the celery is taking from the lettuce, and right now I'm leaving it. I might move the celery, but the lettuce has been doing fantastic. I picked all the leaves the other night. We had a great big salad from it. And that is it. In here, this was a surprise. My purple basil died. It just, boom. It did that last year too, overnight. Now, is it root bound? Maybe. But everything else is going really good. The Roselle, the red Roselle is doing good. I've got to pick all these, probably freeze them, and then we can make tea out of it. Here's another Papalo. So I'm not sure if it got root bound or it was just the end of life because everything else is doing fine. So I might go around, see if there's some seeds on it. That's what I did last year, and then I planted them. I ended it up from my own seed. But yeah, it just started to die back. and that was the end of it. And that's okay. We've got the green. We've got sage everywhere. This goes in my pizza. Celery. Parsley. Parsley has been really big for me. And look at this. This I attach to a knife so I can make steaks for the birds that come in, as well as making a plant steak. And I can hold things up. So that's it. I've just been working on the deck to make it where I have food. And then, of course, yes, there is broccoli. I forgot about that. And we know who's waiting for that. Need to trim that back a little harder and get some more broccoli on the deck. But I've been just trying to get it done so I don't even have to think about it. And I'm pretty much done. I'm really happy with the wool. Completely done. All the containers are done. And now I can just sit back, take care of my regular garden, get through this year, and cater to what's here already, which means watering. And if I want a compost in place, I can just take a flower pot, put all my food matter in it, put some soil on top, and drop it in one of these containers. Any container, it will feed the container. And that's all I have to do until spring, when we get really serious in the growing. Okay, kitty, I know you were waiting. Come get broccoli. Here she comes. Come on, kitty. It's small, but it's better than nothing. I know it's small. Is that okay? Yep, she's happy. She got broccoli. That's what she's been waiting for. So with that, I hope I gave you some tips and ideas. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm very pleased with the garden. I think for a deck garden, I've got all the greens I want. I've got everything for the makings of a pizza, except my thyme. I have a little tiny thyme in my garden, and rosemary bushes. Oh, we have rosemary growing everywhere on the property. So I didn't bother putting rosemary, but we've got basil, we've got sage, we've got parsley, and oregano. We've got it all for pizza. I don't give you pizza, do I? Sun is bright today. Have a great day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. You say bye-bye?